He held the rank of Universal Marshal, commanding a mighty army of 1,000,000 soldiers with countless fierce generals under his lead. Yet he was tragically betrayed by a trusted ally and plunged into a bottomless abyss.
You keep what you kill, ridik!
Perhaps heaven had eyes, or maybe it just wasn't his time to die. Ridik broke a leg in the fall, but stubbornly clung to life. However, the physical pain did not break his fighting spirit. To achieve revenge and return to the top, he had to quickly adapt to his surroundings. But the harshness of this unknown planet far exceeded Ridik's expectations. The water source he finally found was foul-smelling and undrinkable. Even worse, he was surrounded by countless hungry birds and beasts, all seeing him as a tasty meal. But Ridik was battle-hardened. His survival was no accident. To lower the strange bird's guard, he buried himself in the soil for 3 days and nights, finally luring in prey and easily solving his food problem.
So this ain't nothing new.
After eating and drinking his fill, Ridik closed his eyes, intending to rest for a moment. But then he heard the growl of a beast nearby. Without hesitation, he quickly cleared debris from a rock crevice, then gritted his teeth against the pain, slowly inserting his broken leg inside, trying to forcibly realign the dislocated bones. Unexpectedly, his involuntary cry of pain alerted a pack of hounds circling nearby. Seeing they had noticed him, they swarmed in to attack immediately. Badly injured, Ridik dared not confront them directly. Using his arms to push himself backward, he retreated quickly, seizing the chance to hide in a stinking water pit, hoping to shake off the hounds. Little did he know danger lurked underwater too. The spreading scent of blood soon attracted a swarm of mutated eels. They emerged in full force, swimming to Ridik and beginning to tear at his flesh. However, after a few bites, the eels seemed to lose interest in Ridik, allowing him to finally relax. He regulated his breathing, beginning a patience contest with the hounds on shore. After waiting a long time with no movement in the water, the predators eventually left in disappointment. Even so, Ridik remained vigilant. He quietly surfaced, and only after confirming it was safe, lay on the ground gasping for air. But before he could check his leg injury, Ridik suddenly felt a chill down his spine and heard faint growls nearby. Staying calm, he slowly turned to look. Sure enough, a lone hound was snarling, ready to attack at any moment. In desperation, Ridik backed against a rock in a defensive stance, using his sturdy armor to block the beast's fangs. But the creature was exceptionally fierce. Even fighting for his life with all his might, he couldn't break free from the hound's assault. At a critical moment, Ridik picked up a bone and struck out fiercely, but instead of scaring it off, this only enraged the hound further. In seconds, the bone was snatched away and thrown down. Seeing this, Ridik tore off a piece of his waist armor, ready to crush the beast. He threw the disc like a frisbee. Seeing this, the dog instantly looked confused. After a moment's hesitation, it couldn't suppress its innate instincts any longer. It actually turned and chased after the armor piece. This meant that the alien hound, just like pet dogs on Earth, had the potential to be tamed. Although the immediate crisis was resolved, the leg injury remained a hidden danger. It had to be dealt with quickly. So he removed the armor from his right leg and strapped it to his left shin. Then using a hidden weapon he carried as a rivet, he slowly screwed it into the bone to fix the plate. With astonishing willpower, he fashioned an external skeletal brace for himself. It could barely support him for difficult walking. On this barren land, relying on his superhuman eyesight, Ridik soon discovered a waterfall flowing over a canyon not far away. It seemed there should be fresh water, so he hurriedly made his way there. Sure enough, he found sweet, tasty spring water in a cave. After drinking his fill, Ridik saw what seemed to be a strange passage across the waterhole. But before he could think much about it, that pesky mixed breed hound from before actually brought 2 helpers, had tracked his scent. They seemed intent on a fight to the death. With no other choice, he quickly held his breath and quietly hid behind a rock, closely observing their every move. Unbeknownst to him, something more terrifying was hidden in the mud. As the hounds drew closer, it quietly revealed a tail used to lure prey. A hound was bitten on the leg by the sudden snake-like creature. Deadly toxins rapidly spread through its body. In mere moments, it was convulsing and died right there. The other 2 hounds, seeing this, fled in terror. They no longer cared about Ridik hiding in the corner. Seeing the vultures circling endlessly in the sky and the huge animal skull at his feet, Ridik also realized this was no place to linger. But before he could turn and leave, he bumped right into one of the snake creatures. Fortunately, from his earlier observation, he knew the tail was just the monster's decoy. The real killing blow was hidden in the mud. Ridik seized the moment, grabbed a thick bone to block the creature's fangs, and used all his strength to restrain it, not letting it get any closer. As the creature pulled back, he immediately let go, finally creating distance. He barely managed to scramble into the sunlight and save his life. The creature seemed unable to stay away from water for long. It bit through the bone with fury and returned to the mud. After this event, Ridik finally understood that every creature on this planet wanted to eat him alive. To survive, he had to heal his leg injury as soon as possible. Only then would he be able to face the unknown dangers. Fortunately, by evening, he found a seemingly safe cave. There were faint traces of human habitation inside, so he immediately toppled the stone monument and hid hid himself in the recess beneath it. This way, he could both avoid the perilous night and rest his injury, and have enough time to think about how he had ended up in this situation. In his dream, he seemed to return to his days of pride and power. He remembered how he became the first Lord Marshal of the Necro. He replaced the previous king to become the Grand Marshal of the Interstellar Empire. To develop an immunity to the basilisk's lethal venom, Ridik pinched the creature's rather small head, pressed its fangs into a bone container, and squeezed hard. He then collected the extracted venom, pulled out his dagger, and carefully carved out the basilisk's fangs from its mouth. He attached them to an animal bladder to make a simple injector, but he wasn't in a hurry to test it on himself. Instead, he slowly injected a small amount of the venom into a dog to observe its reaction. Just as expected, the dog immediately fell unconscious after contact with the toxin, but after only half an hour, it woke up again, alive and kicking. This meant the basilisk's venom contained a paralytic agent. If prepared correctly, it wouldn't be life-threatening. And so, Ridik began trying injections on himself. Unexpectedly, right after the first injection, he felt dizzy and lightheaded. He was not only weak all over, but also suffered from intense vomiting. This was his immune system fighting the toxin. He just had to endure it to develop antibodies. Finally, after months of continuous injections, the previous symptoms vanished completely. The venom was no longer a threat. Seeing no time to lose, he slung his homemade large bone blade on his back, ready to settle the score with the basilisk in the murky swamp. As Ridik leaped down, ripples immediately spread across the water's surface. The hiding basilisk, sensing movement, used the eyes on its tail to get a good look at Ridik. It quickly lashed out with the bladed tip of its tail, beginning a probing attack. Ridik knew perfectly well the real killing blow was hidden beneath the mud, so he immediately taunted it. To his surprise, the basilisk refused to reveal its true form. Left with no choice, Ridik could only deliberately stick his leg out to provoke it, then suddenly pull back, trying to lure the basilisk out of the swamp. Unexpectedly, the creature didn't take the bait and quickly retreated. Seeing this, Ridik simply hardened his heart, allowing the basilisk to bite his thigh. Relying on his immunity to the toxin, he drew his bone blade and cleanly sliced the creature in two. With the crisis averted, he pulled the fangs stuck in his leg and threw them back into the swamp. Just as he thought about resting, the dog's howl suddenly reached his ears. It turned out that somehow, the formerly caged hound had followed the scent to this cave and was now snarling at the basilisk in the mud. Ridik couldn't help but show a look of admiration, but little did he know, an even larger basilisk emerged from behind him and launched a sudden attack. Fortunately, Ridik reacted quickly, barely dodging a series of powerful, thunderous strikes. Looking up, he realized this basilisk was massive and incredibly strong. It sent him flying hundreds of meters with just one encounter. If it weren't for the basilisk's innate weakness of being unable to leave water, Ridik would have likely been killed instantly. Realizing this was no place to linger, he quickly grabbed the dog and rushed toward the swamp. He then snatched his blade and performed a last-second slide, slicing the basilisk open before it could react, and successfully crossed to the passage on the other side. Seeing the basilisk behind him, actually eating its own fallen intestines as food, Ridik felt a wave of nausea. He hurriedly fled the barren valley with his dog, entering a brand new world, and began a life in the wild for just the two of them. In the blink of an eye, 6 months passed. The once small puppy had grown into a majestic hunting dog. Together, they thrived on this unknown planet.